Markets with VectorVest. My name's Russell Markham. I'll just bring my camera on here. So welcome, thank you for coming along. Let's go and show you how to make some money in the markets. Now, as always, please note the disclaimer statements. So I'm just going to transition here over here to the next slide. Please note our license numbers here. And in addition, general advice only. I'm not licensed to give you any personal advice. Please speak to your financial advisor for any personal advice. And you should consider whether the advice is suitable for you and your personal circumstances. So I can't advise you personally. As always, past performance is no guarantee of future results. All right, it's only forecast back tests. It's a guide only. Right, with that said, I'm going to jump out of here and I'm going to jump into VectorVest. And I'm currently writing an essay. So each week at VectorVest, I write an essay. And this week, I'm going to be writing about commodities, ETF commodities. They're booming at the moment. Now, how do I know? Well, in VectorVest, all I need to do each and every day is I just simply need to come along, click on the Viewers tab, so the Viewers tab in VectorVest, and I simply then jump into the one here called Industry Viewer. So Industry Viewer will therefore show me all the different industries in VectorVest. And so at the moment, as of 14th of October, we're tracking 52 industries in total. And we sort them by this indicator here at the top of the list. I'll just clean this up just to take away some of the additional information. You don't need that for now, so I'll just move it out the way. We sort it by this indicator here called relative timing, RT, relative timing. It's on a scale of 0 to 2. And so it's looking at short-term price momentum. So to demonstrate, let's go and show you the worst performing industry down the bottom, materials, paper, forestry, and products. It's got a low RT of 0.57. So straight away, I know that the stocks or ETFs, whatever it is in that industry that makes it up, I know they're under pressure. Why? Because I can see effectively, I can see that we have a low relative timing score, and we can also then see it on the graph. So we can see that the industry has been falling away quite a bit. Over the last 3 years, let's pull it back a little bit more. Here it was coming up. Relative timing was sort of going up, and then it started sort of bouncing below 1. And so in recent times here, relative timing. Now, what I'll do here is I'll just put an average on relative timing. So it's day-to-day movement. It can get quite busy. So to slow it down, add moving average. Let's put in a simple 40-day moving average on relative timing. And let's make that jump out a bit more. Okay, so all the power with VectorVest that you can do here. So our proprietary indicator, we can put a moving average on it. Let's make this a area graph. All right, so straight away, here we go. This is nice and easy to see now. You can see it's barely come above 1. So most of the time it's been below 1. Tells us this industry is under a lot of pressure, and you can see the trend effectively. It's done that, hasn't it? It continues to sort of drop down. It's been sitting below 1 a lot of the time. Okay, it's close out of here. Let's go to the top of the list. So here we are. ETF commodities. Let's graph the selected commodity group here. So again, I've put on a 40-day moving average on relative timing. If I put on RT, you can see there it is. And if I smooth it out with the 40-day moving average, much different. It's a much more encouraging graph, isn't it? It's much different from what we've just seen. Significantly different. It's moving up. That's what we want to see, and that's what we're sort of targeting. Relative timing remains above 1. That's good. And if I pull it back a little bit further, over here you can see it's been above 1 for quite some time. Let's go back a little bit further. And here it started bouncing a bit. So it was sort of bouncing and slowing down a bit. And now this trend is definitely starting to pick up here. And so in recent times, that's what you're after. Okay, so you want to look at the trend. You want to make sure that relative timing is above 1. All right, so we've identified one of the top ones. Out of interest, what would be the second biggest one? ETFs, thematic growth. Let's have a look at this one here, all the different themes. So there's different themes here, this one being a growth-orientated theme. And again, you can see, look at that relative timing. Wow, look at that trend in current times here. Out of interest, look where relative timing breaks above 1. It breaks above 1 on the 40-day. Let's have a look at it. It's just on a standard daily basis. So you can see pretty much here it goes above 1. Where was it? 0.98. Let's just move it across the day. So it breaks above 1 there. 102 on the 24th of April, and it never broke below 1 since. And the 40-day moving average, it crossed above there. So on the 40-day moving average above 1 on this date, the 9th of May. So you get two different signals depending on how you want to use it. I think the 40-day moving average smooths it out, and it's very visually easy to see. So there we are, breaks above 1, and the price goes from $20.94 to $28 for the thematic. Let's have a look. Let's go back to commodity. So very useful techniques here. I use them all the time. So there we are, 40-day moving average. It was still above 1, 1.12. Let's see, where did it break above 1? Did it go below 1? No, 108. This will be interesting. Let's go back a little bit further. Where did we go below 1 and then break above 1? Aha, there we went. So interesting to see that the power of relative timing started to pick up a change in momentum a lot earlier. But despite that, it was still sort of trying to find a bottom. But nonetheless, if you look at that, on the 40-day moving average, 101.01, it didn't break below 1. All right, so we'll track it along. Still hasn't broken below 1. Look at that, 107. All right, so there it breaks above 101 at 90, and it's now at 107. Now, look, I wouldn't be buying in as it falls away. Certainly not. You know, I'd wait for the trend to start turning around. But just interesting to see that the 40-day moving average on relative timing started to give you that early signal. All right, but at that point there, I'd be waiting. All right, yeah, we are. Now it's starting to move up. Now it's game on. All right, so now the next thing I like to look at here is I like to say to myself, well, I can see it's moving at the moment in the right direction, but what exactly is made up in these ETFs, in these commodity ETFs? What exactly does it entail? So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to view stocks. In this case, it's ETFs and industry group. So I'll load it up, and here they all are. So I can see here all the ones that make it up. So there's 12 in total. All right, and I'm showing the top 25, but of course the top 12, they're 12 in total. So what I can do now is I can have a little bit of a test of these. I won't close it out. I'll test. Let's quick test the top 5. So I'll take the top 5 and let's go back to the start of October. Here we are, 1 October to 14 October, and test it and see how the top 5 have performed. Look at that, 14%, pretty impressive. Now, it's not fair because these were the top 5 at the time. So to do this more accurately, let's go back to the start of October. All right, so here we are, start of October. Interesting, it was a bit of a down day. But there we are, 1 October. Let's grab the top 5 just out of interest. And here they are. All right, so that's how the top 5 have performed. Let's go back to September. All right, let's run it. There we are, 1 September. All right, these were our top ones as sorted by relative timing. Let's just double check. Yeah, RT in descending order. That's how it finds them. Okay. And well, actually, in this particular case here, we're sorting by VST, our value, safety, and timing indicator. But because the ETFs have a 1 for RV and RS, we cannot tell you the exact fundamentals at any point in time. Effectively, relative timing becomes the driver. So let's just sort it by relative timing just to show you. And if I take the top 5, there we go. Look at that. Look at those returns. And that was since September. All right. And so away you go. So the way I like to combine this is as follows, and I'll show you a very useful technique. I like to make sure that my market timing is in my favor. So to do so, in VectorVest, I go to timing. I'm going to go to market timing. And in here, I'm going to put my most conservative signal, and that being my confirmed signal. All right, confirmed signal. It's the slowest moving indicator in VectorVest. I'll just take all this off. Let's clean all this up. There was the signal, 1 May 2025. All right, so it lights it up. It says, yep, the overall market is now trending up. Now is a good time to consider looking to buy stocks. And prior to that, there was a bit of an up and then a down. It was very short-lived. And prior to that, we had a bit of jumping up and down. It was actually a fairly explosive couple of stocks here. Then it pulled back, bounced a lot, went down. This was a good run, very good run here for money, making opportunities. There was a bit of a pullback. So this cycle here was has been one of the better ones for quite some time. It's been a superb cycle. So 1 May 2025. Let's go and have a look at the industry viewer. So I'm going to go to industry viewer, go to 1 May 2025. All right, so we are. There's the green light telling us it's a good time to consider going into the market. So here we are in our industry viewer. We've lined up. All right, we've lined up our market timing. So just to confirm again, lined it up. There we are, 1 May. We've gone to our industry viewer. We're going to go to 1 May. There we are, 1 May 2025. And let's see what VectorVest has to say. So VectorVest comes back to say, well, here we go. ETFs AU strategy is the one to consider right now in terms of the fastest moving stocks / ETFs. So let's go and have a look. Let's go and put on our confirm signal. There we are, 1 May. Yes, and look at that. Look how it was rocketing up at that time. So this was the average of those ETFs as of 1 May. So let's just pretend we didn't know what the future entailed. We're here on 1 May. The graph's noting it's time to consider looking at some stocks. We come in to 1 May. We see AU ETF strategy. Let's right click. Let's view stocks industry group. And we'll go to 1 May 2025. So here we are. So what if we were to grab the top 5? Now remember, we're not going to buy and hold necessarily to the end. If we did, there's a nice 13%. But let's just see when things first kicked off. So 1 May, and let's see what happens. So from 1 May, let's say we held on for a week. So we got the alert from VectorVest on 1 May. We went and found the top performing industry, and we just go week to week to see what happens. Here we are. First week, 1.4%. All of them were winners, bar one that made nothing. That's okay. So we come to the end of May, we're up 1.4. We revise again. Now, 1 May to 8, sorry. Now we'll go to, for 2 weeks, let's see what would have happened. So up 2.93. One slightly in the negative, barely here or there. Let's see what happens. Let's go another week out, 22nd. All right. 4.43. Let's go another week out. All right. 6.32. So VectorVest helped identify an industry that was on the run. A couple of weeks later, you've made some good returns, right? So let's close out here. What if we were to look at the second one? ETFs AU small mid cap. All right, this will be interesting. Let's right click. Let's view stocks industry group. All right, so here we are, 1 May. Let's do this. Let's quick test the top 5, and let's do it week by week. All right, so we'll go 1 May to 8 May and have a look. 2.39. Next one here. Let's have a look. 2.14. The following week, it's jumped up a bit more, 3.17. All right, this will be what, the 4th week out. Did I do that correctly? 3.86. And let's see, 5 weeks out, 5%. Okay, so VectorVest gives you some ideas, and then of course if you were to hang on all the way till now, not that I necessarily advocate doing that because you'll need to revise to see what's working, but there's 15% returns. Okay, so very useful. I want to show you what happens if you're not in touch with the top performing industries. So 1 May, we got the signal. We say, yep, great, good time to consider. We come and look at industry viewer. Now let's just say we made a mistake. Instead of looking at the highest performing ones, we made a mistake and we started to look at one of the worst performing ones. So here we go. Materials, paper, and products. And so in this one here, it's made up of these two. All right, Big River and Papyrus Australia. All right, let's see if I quick test the top 2 from 1 May. All right, now, as it turned out, we went okay. So I was relieved, but it could have gone very, very wrong. So be careful, because here, if I kick it off, let's have a look. It's recovered, but this was not one of our top performing industries at the time. So 1 May, in the first week, you're down 6%. That's not ideal. All right, then by week 2, you're down 2%. By week 3, you're down 17%. Ouch. All right. And then week 4, you'd be down 15%. So, you're down 15%, but if you're taking one of the top industries up the top, instead, by week 4 or 5, you're up 4 or 5, 6, 7% or more. Okay, so the idea being that you line up your market timing when the market's trending up. You can come along, load up your industry viewer, and then find the top performing industries. Let's do the last one. Let's have a look at the third one here. These are all ETFs. So ETFs have been absolutely booming in 2025. Here yet again, another industry that's booming, emerging markets. Let's do the same exercise. Let's quick test the top, say 5. Here we go. So 1 May. So you kick off from 1 May to by 14 October. Look, that's 7%. Not as impressive as the top 2, as you'd expect, because as we drill down further, the industries become less impressive. But having said that, let's go back here. Let's look at what happens in the first week. So the first week, this was ranking number 3, was it? So 0.27, not as impressive as the first 2. All right, coming into week, so what's that, the second week, is it? 2.33. And the week after that, 2.2%. And the week after that, 3.23. So not quite as impressive as the first 2. So next time there's a industry signal to go in, a market signal or market timing, you might want to get some ideas from the industries. You might go here, go to industry viewer, look at the top ranked ones, and away you go. Just to show you the power of ETFs as well, the last thing I'll leave you with here today, if I go to trading system viewer, so these are all the different trading systems that we rank and sort and analyze every day. I'll just bring up the one year returns, you can see, and you'll see here there's one here called the ASX Global Superstar ETFs system. It's done incredibly well over the last 12 months, done 20%. And you'll see another one here, Best AU ETF Supercharged, just on 20%, 19.9. If I look at the trading system details, here we go. Let's load this up for you to have a peek at. There it is. So this one tracks some pretty impressive ETFs, and you can go in and have a look. Here are some of the holdings. Some of them haven't changed for quite some time because they're performing so well. Okay, so if you're stuck for ideas, the trading system viewer and VectorVest. So you might see, ETFs are performing very well in the trading system viewer here, and then you can come into the industry viewer, and you can have a bit of a peek to see the top performing industries, of which in recent times in 2025, the ETFs have been some of the best performers. We also have an ETF viewer. So what you can do is, instead of looking at different industries, you can just simply look at ETFs, and you can sort the ETFs by the fastest moving ones. Here we are, relative timing. And then you can come in and you can take a bit of a sneak peek to see what you think. And so you can see the different ETFs, DFND, ticker code for that one there. What's this one here? Gear. You can see in recent times it's really been rocketing up. Look at this one here, D-Tech, another phenomenal performer. All right, a bit more lumpy on this one, but still, nonetheless, a very good trend in recent times. Okay, so you can come in here and drill into the ETFs. We track at the moment many ETFs here, 304 currently. All right, so again, same trick that you do for the industries. You want to look at some of your top ranked relative timing ETFs and avoid going too far down, because as relative timing starts to diminish in terms of the score, then you start getting down to share ETFs like this. This one has a very low relative timing score, so it's under a lot of pressure. So you want to avoid, where a relative timing has crashed away. Rather, you want to be at the top of the list and looking at a relative timing that's moving up. So this one here, this Defense ETF, DFND ticker code. Look at that relative timing. It's been above 1 for quite some time, and it's at a whopping 1.22 on a scale of 0 to 2. That's a very good score. Okay, so there we are. That's how you find ETFs. It's very powerful. The industry viewer, not just ETFs, of course, because as you drill down, you might find some other ones here, like financials, insurance. I can view the stocks in the group, and then I can have a bit of a look, and away I go. So it's not just ETFs, of course. We look at all the stocks as well. But for 2025, ETFs really have been some of the top performers out there. Let's go as of the 14th of October. I'll show you again. Here we go. ETFs, gold stocks, aluminium stocks, lithium stocks, precious metals, ETFs again, small mid caps, materials, ETF sectors. So ETFs make up a lot of these, and so just to show you, it's not just all about ETFs. Of course, the gold stocks have been performing very well too, and so again, you can come in and start having a look at some of the gold stocks. So just to run through one or two, here we are. Look at that relative timing, up it goes. Look at those stocks. Look at the performance of those gold stocks. So it's all here. But to summarize again today, all I did is I went to VectorVest and I asked VectorVest, how does market timing stack up? When is a good time to consider either stocks or ETFs? 1 May, the signal hasn't come off yet. I then went to Industry Viewer. I found all the industries sorted by relative timing. I picked on the ones that at the top of the list that jumped out to me, so ETFs, commodities. I had a look at those ETF commodities, and then I could consider whether I bought them or not. And so just to sum it up, and the last thing I'll do, just run the graphs, right? So look at them in recent times, right? Top performing industry at the moment, with the top performing, in this case, ETFs in that industry, all at your fingertips. Makes it very easy to do once you've got the right tools. So I hope you got a lot out of it today. I'll leave you with that list of ETFs. Thanks again for coming along. Until next time, bye for now.